Question 1. Please define the geography of Khorasan. Where is Khorasan? Khorasan, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, has been researched by the eminent Pakistani scholar, Dr. Israr Ahmad, and he has explained that Khorasan is that territory which extends from northwest Pakistan, the Pathan belt, northeast Iran, the whole of Afghanistan, and the territory north of Afghanistan. But clearly Afghanistan is in the heart of Khorasan. Now, this territory has one thing distinctive about it, that Europe could never colonize the heart of Khorasan. The British tried when Britain was the ruling state in the world, and the British failed. And then the Russians tried when they had the superpower, the Soviet Union. And after 12 years, the Russians failed. And guess who is trying now? Yes. The war in Khorasan has just begun, Mr. Bush. It has just begun. On that day, when Islam liberates Afghanistan, I believe it is that army which will be unstoppable until it reaches Jerusalem. Please give us an alternative to citizenship, and it's shirk. I want to confess to you the limitations of my thought, and that we must all collectively think. I can't do all the thinking. There are amongst you here tonight those who are better thinkers than I am and who will be able to extend my thought. Do not enter into citizenship where you have to pledge allegiance to a secular state, because that is direct involvement in shirk. But when citizenship is conferred upon you without your having to pledge any allegiance, you are born in a particular territory, then you have not entered into shirk because you have not pledged any allegiance. And in that territory and elsewhere in the world, you make it plain and clear for everybody down here and everybody up there to hear: I do not recognize the sovereignty of that state. If even with that state where you have citizenship, you are now denied citizenship, then you become what we were when we left Mecca and went to Medina. What were we? Yes, refugees. And there are many people in the world today who have refugee status. Probably some are here in this room tonight. In most of the Muslim countries nowadays, it is constitutionally mentioned that sovereignty is vested in the people of the country. So those who are living in the country, accepting the sovereignty, are they all in shirk? You can live in the country, you can be a citizen of the country without having ever pledged allegiance to the state and to its constitution. Yeah. Without ever having voted in an election. But I was told yesterday that in Australia, if you do not go and vote in the elections, you have to pay a fine. If I were here, I'd pay the fine. I'd pay the fine, yes. No, wait, we can't allow questions. Please write it down. No. When does see if you can check that out for me. Did you say that the Mahdi is a Shia? No, I said that the Mahdi will leave Medina. No, I didn't say that. The Prophet said that, alayhi salatu wasalam. The Mahdi would leave Medina and hurry towards Mecca. And the hadith was that the people of Mecca would come out to him and force him to accept the bay'ah. And he would accept the bay'ah at the Kaaba and proclaim himself to be the Mahdi. I then went on to say that Mecca has never been a Shia city. Never, in all history. And Mecca is not going to become a Shia city. And Mecca will not go out to a Shia to force him to accept the bay'ah. To believe in that, you should live on the moon. And therefore, the Mahdi cannot be Shia. When the Mahdi proclaims himself to be Mahdi, those amongst the Shia who accept him and follow him are our brothers in faith and will fight with us side by side, shoulder to shoulder, in liberating the Holy Land. But when those amongst the Shia refuse to accept him as the Mahdi, they will no longer be recognized as our brothers in faith and will not fight with us shoulder to shoulder in order to liberate the Holy Land. When does one become a Muslim? One can be a Muslim in your heart, but we don't know it. So if you die, we can't bury you. No. We can't bury you. We can't give you Salatul Janazah, although you're a Muslim in your heart. Okay? We cannot perform the Salatul Janazah over you. The only time we can perform the Salatul Janazah over you is when you publicly declare yourself in the presence of witnesses that you are Muslim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. You said that the Khilafah will not return until the Kaaba is taken control of. But when the Prophet established his state in Medina, he was not in control of the Kaaba. Please explain. If anyone chooses to argue that the Khilafah can be restored before the advent of Imam Al-Mahdi, I have no quarrel with him. No. If he wants to launch a movement to restore the Khilafah now, I don't have any quarrel with him, and you should not have any quarrel with him. We have come to this conclusion because we understand that Ya'juj and Ma'juj were released in the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. And we therefore recognize the world order which today controls the world to be the world order of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. You do not, but we do. If we recognize this world order to be the world order of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and so long as they control the world, you cannot restore the Khilafah. They will destroy it. On that day when they no longer control the world, yes, at that time the Khilafah can be restored. But when will they no longer control the world? It will be at that time when Al-Masih Ad-Dajjal has completed his mission. When he has completed his mission, then comes the unfolding of the events where the true Messiah will kill the false Messiah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Then it will be possible to restore the Khilafah. But those who differ and say no, Ya'juj and Ma'juj will not be released until after the return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, we say to them, brother, keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting for that day. That's all we have to say to you, nothing more. When the American economy collapses and Israel rules the world, for approximately how long will they rule? One can only guess. One can only guess. No one can give a specific answer. The specific answer, of course, is that Israel will rule the world for a day which will be like a week. But if you want me to spell out how long will a day like a week last, I can only guess. The answer is that a day which is like a week will last for as long as it takes for the Sea of Galilee to dry up. So now how long will it take for the Sea of Galilee to dry up? I can only make a guess. I can be wrong, but at least I'm guessing, which is more than they are doing who are only eating halwa. My guess was about 50 years, but I can be wrong. When the Sea of Galilee dries up, that is the time when Israel will no longer rule the world. I love this hadith. Guess why? Because George Bush could watch the Sea of Galilee going down. And Tony, what's his name? Yes. And Ariel, what's his name? Sharon. Yeah. And the Jews? They can watch the Sea of Galilee going down and drying up. And they can realize that the moment is coming. Ya Muslim, هذا يهودي ورائي فتعال فاقتل. That moment is approaching as the water is drying up. I love this hadith. Why is Iran's oil? This was last night's lecture. I explained this last night. That when Israel wages a big war, which is coming up, which is why Bush has to attack Iran, so that Israel can now wage the war and not appear to be an aggressor, which is why Abdullah of Jordan has his suitcases packed already. When Israel wages a big war, in order for her to become the ruling state in the world, she'll have to seize the oil. Saudi oil, Iraqi oil, Kuwaiti oil, etc. But I said, I don't think they'll touch the Iranian oil. Why? He asks. The answer is, without in any way being disrespectful to the Shia, without in any way being uncharitable to the Shia, no, that's not my method. Anyone who declares of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was a usurper, is misguided. And anyone who compounds that by declaring that Umar Farooq radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a usurper is doubly misguided. And anyone who further compounds that by declaring of a third of the eminent companions of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, that Uthman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a usurper, is casting a massive vote of no confidence in Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. The three of his foremost companions were usurpers, robbing people of their legitimate position, like robbers and bandits. So anyone who declares of this, like this, are a people who are significantly misguided. That's all. This is not an uncharitable statement. This is a factual statement. A less than valid, less than authentic expression of Islam will always be advantageous to Dajjal. Because if this less than authentic expression of Islam is the only Islam which can mount a successful Islamic revolution, the only one, then the Muslim masses around the world will eventually be told that is the valid Islam, because that's the only one which has succeeded in the world. So you should give up the authentic Islam that you have and adopt that less than authentic Islam. Why would Israel want to dismantle such a state? No, it will not be in the interest of Israel to attack and seize the Iranian oil. But having said this, let it be clear that this is meant not, this statement of mine is not meant to show any disrespect whatsoever to the leadership of the revolution in Iran. Imam Khomeini and all those who fought the regime of the Shah with such matchless courage. I honor them and I respect them, and I'll never say anything hurtful about them. Can you please give an example of the Prophet ﷺ about how he established the Khilafah? You have to take control of territory. Either exclusive control, that is you alone control, or on the basis of an agreement in which you share control over the territory with others. The Mithaq of Medina was an agreement, a constitutional agreement, in which Muslims shared control over territory with those who are not Muslims. The ruler who rules over the Muslims in that territory would be the Khalifa over the Muslims. That was called a plural model of a state. But that plural model of a state only lasted for a short time, and then the Jews betrayed the Treaty of Medina and they were expelled. And now you have the exclusive model. When Muslims take control of a territory in the name of Islam and establish Allah's law in that territory, there would be one Jama'ah and one Amir. That Amir, on the condition that he controls the Haramain and the Hajj, would now be the Khalifa. What is the role of Freemasons in the globalization subject? The Freemasons are an organization which have their roots in ancient Israel, Banu Israel from the earliest times. The Freemasonry movement, however, was hijacked by the Europeans who put on the clothing of Judaism. European Jew. Yes, Sheikh Sadi, here we are. This is something for you. It's a gift. The Freemasonry now has been hijacked by them, and they're using it as a front organization so that they can stand behind. So you attack World Trade Center, but your fingerprints are not on the crime. You're behind. You attacked the World Trade Center in 1991, and you put Sheikh Omar Abdurrahman behind bars, the blind sheikh. But the Jewish fingerprints are not on the crime. You attacked the U.S. mission in Tanzania, the U.S. mission in Kenya, Tanzania and Kenya, and you believe that we are blind. We know you did it. You attacked. But you blame Osama bin Laden for that. But guess what? One day, يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى لَهَا. One day the earth will speak. And all your lies are now going to be exposed. And on that day we'll have confirmation for what we now suspect. What role does the economic boycott of Israel and some American companies have on the return of the Khilafah? It is something that the Muslim community should be taking seriously. Strange people, Muslims. What they should not be doing, that's what they're doing. And what they should be doing, they don't do it. Never in our entire history as a people have we ever used trade as a weapon. Never. Never. It is our enemies who use trade as a weapon against us. In Medina. An economic boycott against us which lasted 3 years. Did we ever reply and respond with an economic boycott of our own? No, we never did. Why? لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم. Trade should be conducted in such a way that there is mutual benefit, says the Quran. So when you impose an economic boycott on somebody, you're hurting yourself. You're allowed to trade with your enemy, because in trade there's mutual benefit. The only thing that is prohibited is to trade with the enemy at times of war in weapons of war. That is prohibited. So an economic boycott on the United States of America, and you're not going to drink Coca-Cola, well, you should not have been drinking it in the first place. Water is better than Coca-Cola. But leave that aside. We've never had an economic boycott in our own entire history. This is the first time I've ever heard of an economic boycott. I know about Ronald Reagan and his economic boycott on the Soviet Union, but not Islam. No. So from my perspective, it is wrong to engage in the use of trade as a weapon against anyone.
Concerning that question, just tell them what context.
Right, inshallah, Sheikh Shadi is here and he'll take on that subject of the detention center, inshallah. What happened to the army from Isfahan? I know about the army from Khorasan. The hadith is that when Dajjal attacks Damascus, and the Imam is inside the masjid and Dajjal is outside, Dajjal will be followed by 70,000 Jews from Isfahan wearing their Jewish shawls. That is the hadith. What this hadith indicates is that the state of Israel would no longer be ruled at that time by the European Jews, but that rather Banu Israel, who today are second-class citizens in Israel, they call them the Arab Jews. Banu Israel would have taken over the state of Israel from the European Jews. But this has already started. Where's the evidence? The evidence is that last year sometime there was the election for the presidency. I think it was last year. And the European Jews put up the prince himself. Who is he? Shimon Peres, the prince himself of the European Jews. And Banu Israel, the Arab Jews, or the Sephardic Jews as they're called now, they put up a person whose name nobody ever heard before. Moshe Katsov or something like that. And guess what? Katsov is an Iranian Jew. And he defeated Shimon Peres, and he's now the president of the state of Israel. For the first time in its history, an important post in the government of Israel is held by a non-European Jew. It's the beginning of the process which will eventually fulfill this hadith, that Dajjal will be followed by 70,000 Jews from Isfahan wearing their Jewish shawls. What do you think will replace paper money in the future? Come for my lecture next Wednesday, inshallah. Gog and Magog have freed from between the Caucasus Mountains. Would these people be Caucasian people? The Khalifa sent an army sometime around the year 50 Hijri. Sorry, not an army. This is in all the books of tafsir. He sent an expedition to try and locate that barrier which was built by Zulkarnain. That expedition returned with the news that they located the barrier. And it was lying in ruins. So if you're waiting for Gog and Magog to come sometime in the future, brother, keep waiting. The barrier is lying in ruins. And companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they themselves gave the testimony that they went and saw with their own eyes. They located the barrier and it was lying in ruins. Where was it located? In a pass between the Caucasus Mountains. So when you hear the term white Caucasian male, there's something behind that to look into. White Caucasian male. How deep and what sort of oppression do you expect during the interim period when Israel becomes the ruling state in the world? This is where you must help me. I am doing what is called a structural thought, macro thought, all right? Concentrating on the macro image. And I praise and thank Allah who has helped me with it. But the micro thought is where you can now come in, because you got the talent. And you can send me an email now to help me. That look, at the micro level, this is what we can now expect when Israel becomes the ruling state. This is what we can expect politically. This is what we can expect in terms of the economy. This is what we can expect in terms of monetary problems. Okay? And as you send me your emails with this micro-analysis that you are doing, as I lecture around the world, I can be benefited from it. And I can pass this on to others. But I am not in a position to devote my time and thought to this micro-analysis, because I'm still working on the macro-analysis. Please correct my information. I thought the United States joined World War II because of the attack on Pearl Harbor, but of course that's correct. Whoever doubted that? I never said anything in conflict with this. We're talking about the United States joining First World War, not Second World War. If we have to wait for Imam Mahdi to ensure that all of Islam is completely implemented, then what do we do about our brothers and sisters being slaughtered around the Muslim world? The Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam said that the Imam is a shield in which he protects, and they fight behind him. Surely we must implement the leader first in order to protect the Muslims. I said that the jihad is already in force in the Holy Land. We don't need a fatwa from anyone. And I said that no one can stop this jihad, not in Oslo or not in downtown Washington. This jihad will continue until the Holy Land is liberated. But we engage in this jihad with the absolute assurance of the victory that will come. There is absolutely no doubt at all that this jihad is going to be successful. Secondly, the jihad to liberate Khorasan, because it is from there the army will come which will liberate the Holy Land. That jihad is already in force. And we already have, alhamdulillah, we already have shuhada who must be smiling and joyfully happiness in heaven now. Elsewhere in the world, however, if you engage in offensive jihad, not defensive. Defensive jihad is when you are being attacked and your wife is being raped and your children are being slaughtered. You fight. It is better to die as a man than to live as a rat. So anytime you're being attacked and you have no room for a strategic retreat, none. You're cornered, you fight. If it is possible for you to retreat, you must retreat. However, offensive jihad, for the purpose of liberating territory, for the purpose of establishing Allah's rule on earth, that, I said, is not possible anywhere on the face of the earth today. But I also said, listen, I wish I could repeat it 1,000 times. If you differ with me, who is stopping you from launching your struggle, your revolutionary struggle, to liberate Australia and establish the Islamic State in Australia? Who is stopping you? I'm not stopping you. If you feel that this can be done, go ahead and do it. I am saying you'll be a failure. You'll be destroyed. But this is on the basis of my understanding that the world order in which we live today is the world order of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. You do not share this with me, and you feel that it is possible to wage a revolutionary struggle to establish the Islamic State anywhere on the face of the earth, please go ahead and do it. Upon the death of a Khalifa, this is the hadith I was quoting. Same hadith he's quoted here. And he asks, does this hadith not indicate that the Khilafah will be restored before the return of the Mahdi? But this is the hadith on the Mahdi. Upon the death of a Khalifa, people will differ among themselves. Then a man from the people of Medina will flee to Mecca. People from Mecca will approach him and give him the bay'ah while he dislikes it. This is not in Sahih Muslim. The bay'ah will be given to him between the Rukn and Maqam, near the Kaaba. He will divide the wealth among the Muslims justly and implement upon the people of the Sunnah of their Prophet. Islam will spread on the earth. He will be for 7 years and then he'll die, and the Muslims will pray upon him. Who is this man? Who is this man? Imam Al-Mahdi. This is Imam Al-Mahdi. Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
يا بيت القدس لنا أمل ستعود القدس لأمتنا ونطهر ساحتك العذراء وننشر فوقك رايتنا القدس تنادينا القدس تنادينا.
One Islam Productions, an Islamic film studio established in Australia, is dedicated to producing films for all Muslims. Just some of the films by One Islam Productions: children's programs, Islam for Me, We Remember Allah, Storytime, and more. Educational films, Pray as You Have Seen Me Pray, Words, Ramadan, Renewal of Faith. Documentaries. We at One Islam Productions believe that Islam is precious and deserves to be presented in only the highest quality. Visit us at www.oneislam.net for more information. One Islam Productions, a film production company run by Muslims for Muslims.